All right, Ian, we got a Patreon, don't we?
Patreon.com/CU podcast. You go, you pay, you get. Sorry, you have not gotten the past 2 weeks of writing. My life.
You did one like busy. 9 days ago.
9 days ago. Yeah, it was 9 days ago.
You're overdue.
Okay. But I'm overdue. Tomorrow. You also get a full video podcast. You get
now you're gonna get a bonus.
You're gonna get a bonus podcast.
Exclusive.
You can, depending on the tier.
We're
gonna record the first one this week.
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
And you get to hang out now with maybe both of us.
Yeah.
We're changing it up for 2021. And you get a poll top you vote on. In second place, should Pat and Ian avoid controversial topics? 27%. And that doesn't mean if that wins, we will. That just means we talk about the discussion of controversial topics. Some people are like, no, that means I can't talk about them. And in first place, 73%. Are there ethics involved in getting expensive games for a good price? And this is on the heels, as Ian ponders that, of there was a video put out on YouTube by these people, I guess, that help out clean out people's houses, like hoarders' houses, and people, I guess, that have passed away. And they found a ton of old video games, mostly stuff from the 2000s, but there was some 90s stuff in there as well. And a lot of those were sealed games. And they were locked away. It was like an attic or a weird room where it's a hoarder's house. There's shit everywhere, but there was like boxes of games, and a lot of them were sealed. Some are going back, some are GameCube stuff, 360 stuff, but some are from the 90s as well. And then, according to them, they valued them at around 100,000 US is what the value was put on these at. 100,000. And at the end of the video, I didn't watch the whole video, but I watched the end. They basically got all the video game stuff out of these people. I think it was someone that passed away, and it was like their relatives that said, okay, help us clean out and we'll give whatever. And then the person didn't know what the prices were on this stuff. This older guy or a guy in his 50s is like, all right, give me like $800 for all this. It was like tubs of games if you find the video, Ian, and look at it. And then what people got upset about, me a little bit, was that this stuff was obviously worth a hell of a lot more than $800. I mean, like, even if you had no knowledge of stuff, we're talking, hundreds of games, like a lot. They said, "Oh, give us for like $400," and they started haggling it down from 800. And that's what I think set some people off when it came to that. It's like, not that you're taking advantage necessarily of this people's situation, but it's like, you're getting an extremely good deal. A lot of these games are like big hits. Some are sealed. This is not a small amount of money what these are worth. And so that brought us to talk about this because, like, we had this conversation years in the past, and obviously I go to the flea market, I try to find deals, I try to haggle. But what is the ethical line when it comes to haggling and price negotiation on stuff like this?
It's blurry. I mean, I'll tell you that. I think it's a good topic because I really think it's going to be.
By the way, this is from Cheap Finds Gold Mines channel. There you go.
I think
that's me playing it.
Really depends on the situation, and I think it also depends on what your position is in the transaction. So I think if you go to a store, you go to a place like, say, Luna Video Games, 2 locations, or a Goodwill, but a place like Luna. And I'm saying this as a person who has slipped on it before. If you go to a store and you find a game for cheap that is supposed to be very expensive, you buy that. You buy that and you walk out of that store with a deal and a sale that you never would have expected to happen. My feeling behind that is this is that place's business. This is their business. This is what they have decided to get into to make money. I feel at that instance, it is the store's responsibility to do the due diligence on their games and their prices, and to make sure that they are going out for the amount that they should. I say grab a deal because any store that you shop at is going to price certain things higher than they should because of popularity. They're going to price plenty of things where they should. If you're a regular at a store and you've been buying for a long time and they slip on something, you've been giving them a lot of money. They're going to learn better next time. I kind of feel the same way for thrift stores. They've priced it Those places are full of treasure. If you get something for a good deal, you get it. However, in an instance like, I think if you are at a garage sale and it's a couple of grandparents selling stuff and they've got, I don't know, an NES and a great chunk of games, and they've got, and say there's something really worthwhile in there, and they're asking 20, throw another 20 on top of it.
You still know you're getting a good deal.
You're still getting a good deal. Throw another 20 on top of it. You don't have to be like, and I realize that this is like I said, where it gets dicey. You don't have to be like, this game you've gotten here is worth 100 on its own, but just be like, hey, I wanted to let you guys know that this is worth a little bit more than you think. I'm happy to take it. Throw a couple extra bucks in there. I also think in an instance like the one that brings it up, I think if you are offered an extremely fair price at the start, you don't haggle down.
Yes,
and that's where I feel a little bit more confident in having a stance. You don't fucking haggle it down. There was,
this was a
1,600 would have doubled the initial price.
This was a truck bed full of video games.
Double the initial price. 1,600 would have been a fucking steal. I'm not saying in this instance you necessarily have to give more, but don't try to fucking haggle down from what you already know is an extraordinarily fair asking price, because it just makes you look cheap and shitty.
Yeah, and then that's what they got pushback on the video.
I want to make sure that it's clear that while I do think there are instances where it doesn't hurt to throw a little bit more money, I don't think you're an awful person if you go to a flea market and you get something for very cheap that should be expensive. Like I said, people do have a responsibility to do their due diligence on what they're selling.
Sure.
There are instances where I would personally feel guilty, but in this instance, no, that was wrong. There's no reason to try to haggle down from 800 to 400.
Yeah, I sort of fall in the same path. If you know you're getting a great deal on something where it's like, if that valuation is correct, they paid 1%, less than 1% of the price. At that point, we all like to save more money, but if they're going to end up selling stuff. These aren't collectors. These people, they're going to end up selling stuff and make a huge profit. Help out the family. That's all. Like you're right when it comes to that. It's interesting because we all like to get deals on stuff, whatever it is. We all haggle on stuff. I haggled on this house. I saved $2,000 on getting my Honda. My Honda.
I am not above haggling at a flea market to get a deal. Yeah. Don't ever do it in a fucking retail store, but at a flea market, absolutely, it's the name of the game.
I'm sorry, Ian, for doing that for the DuckTales too. No, I didn't haggle on that. I gave him a good deal, but that's part of what is part of the charm, but also part of getting, I guess, a good deal. That's why you go out to the flea market at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
If I don't want to get up at 7 in the morning, I'll just buy it on eBay. Like, why am I wasting my Sunday then? Just to get my daily constitutional? No, we all want to get a good deal. It's part of the hunt. It's part of the allure of collecting anything, not just video games. Anything. People go out and search for toys. They search for old shoes. People that collect vintage clothing. You see it all over the place. Yeah, it's not just that.
I'm not denying that. And like I said, again, I don't think you're bad if you don't do what I said I would maybe feel guilty about doing on occasion. But you're right. That is part of the allure of collecting, is finding a set of things that you like, realizing that there is a natural rarity to certain things in that collection you like, and then finding those rare things, not just finding them, but finding them for a good price.
Yeah.
That's part of it. That's a large part of why people collect.
Yeah.
It's for that specific buzz.
And for the people that have originally bought it, that are selling it, whether they're people that own the stuff originally, a lot of them, not a lot of them, but some of them might be like, okay, I understand it's worth more, but it's a hassle. I just want to sell it. Why do you think I'm at a flea market? Why do you think they're not putting it up on eBay? Because it's not worth their time and effort, even if they made more money. And some people will say that. It's like, yeah, I don't care. It's like same reason why people trading stuff to the game store and be like, okay, that's cool. It's a bonus. I don't expect to get that much, but it's a bonus.
And those were the people that I always liked on trade-ins. And you'd be surprised, a lot of people aren't that way. So many people, would come in and ask for, they'd be like, well, this is worth it. I'm like, well, sell it. And they're like, well, that's a pain. And I'm like, well, yes. I'm like, that's
convenience cost.
Congratulations. You just figured it out.
It's convenience cost.
You make more. Yeah. You tend to get more the more you have to put into something.
People go to the flea market to unload stuff for cash. It's convenience. They're not getting top dollar for everything. They shouldn't expect it because it's convenience of unloading it.
Right.
Again, it's also for cash. Again,
now it's my responsibility to sell this for full price. You don't have to sit online. You don't have to deal with missed calls or people blowing off appointments on Craigslist. It's simple.
Taking pictures for eBay,
right?
dealing with the account stuff, PayPal, boxing stuff up, going into the post office, buyer disputes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then plus it's all taxed versus cash.
Yeah,
You know,
just
when
cash
at
in
a
your
flea
hand.
market. So like, yeah, there's that aspect as well. And so I think my line is this: do not be deceptive. That's all my line.
Yeah.
Do not be deceptive. Don't. There are some ethics to me when it comes to these practices, whether it's you call it capitalism or not. Do not be deceptive. At that point, you lose your soul. You don't say stuff like, "Oh, you know, this isn't worth that much."
Yeah,
when you know it
when
is.
it is. Right.
You
Don't do that.
You don't say. You don't try to take people for a ride.
Right.
Don't be a fucking asshole. Keep your mouth shut. You see a good deal, keep your mouth fucking shut.
In all things,
know.
honesty.
Yeah, that's it. Just try to be a better person overall. I mean, if it's really worth it for you to get an extra $20 off and have to lie about it, is that $20 worth the part of your integrity? To some people, it is.
Right.
Some people don't have that, and that's where it is. Don't lie about it. Don't lie like, oh no, this is really not worth much, and it's like,
Yeah, don't do that.
don't do that. Just be like, okay, you found a good deal. Give the person their money. Don't make them feel like shit, or don't put a question in their head to be like later, like, oh, does that person? Imagine if you did that to someone. Oh, this is really worth that much, and to try to get an extra $5. That person might be like later, I'm gonna look that up. Then they realize I got taken for a fucking ride by that asshole. Now you just ruined their day because you wanted to save $5-10. Just don't be that person.
Right.
We all want a deal. Just don't be a piece of shit when it comes to it. But a lot of collectors are assholes in all aspects of those video games.
Yeah, I think it's a
mentality.
It's a good way for a morally ambiguous person to fully commit to the dark side, because
Yeah.
once you get into it, the person with morals is going to, like I said, just be honest in all these things, and then the person who's not that's going to be the person who goes up to the it's going to be those people. It's going to be a person who goes to the garage sale, and instead of
Yeah.
realizing that there's a good deal there, is going to be like, this isn't worth anything, and trying to get it for half that, even though it's worth 5 times the amount that they've priced it at.
50 times or whatever it is. And then they try to justify saying, well, if it wasn't us trying to do that, they would have thrown it in a dumpster. It's like, that doesn't excuse the behavior.
No.
So they get a bad option or no option. It's like only $400 for that stuff. After, I mean, you should just take the $800 here, $800. We're
Yeah.
happy to do it.
Give them a crisp 1,000 and keep the change.
No one had.
I know there's not 1,000.
This is a $1,000 bill. There used to be all those big bills.
I think there
There's
used to be, but not. Yeah, there isn't anymore.
That's the only thing that was weird about that video. But glad they got their stuff there.